page 36, is ushered in with another tissue of misrepresentation, not less palpable than any other contained in the whole compilation in the first place. The cook did not go to Longwood to complain. He went contrary to directions from General Mouton to demand from Sir Hudson Lowe whether a letter from Calpertran to Cardinal Fesch containing a request that another cook might be sent out to St. Helena, as his own health and that of his assistant had been so much impaired by the climate as to render any further residence in it dangerous for them, had been forwarded, and when his successor might be expected, having taken this step upon himself in direct opposition to the orders he had received, and having also, after his interview with Sir Hudson Lowe, been guilty of some impertinence to General Montauban, he was dismissed from his situation, but remained some days at Longwood, without, however, officiating in his former employment of cook. The circumstance relative to Albie is precisely as follows. Happening to be at Longwood when he came there, I know that Napoleon never saw him, and so far from the question described by the author having been asked, General Montauban, only officer in Napoleon's suite, who saw him, was with difficulty made to understand, he said, as the man could speak nothing but German and some broken English, which together with Albie's not wishing to be forced away against his will from his master Baron Sturmer, was the reason of his not being hired. The closing anecdote about Lieutenant Colonel Dodgkin is equally true. Will the writer of these anecdotes inform the public what English regiments served against Bonaparte in Egypt? In the author's zeal to serve his patrons, he frequently oversteps the modesty of nature by paying compliments which I venture to assert his friends would very willingly dispense with. Of this description is the reply, for which he gives Lieutenant Colonel Dodgkin credit. Had there been a particle of truth in the expression, it was one to which no English gentleman could have given utterance without violating the rules of humanity and decorum. In page 45, the author observes, after some remarks about the commissioners appointed to reside in St. Helena by the Allied powers, that they are shut out by his Napoleon's whim and sulkiness from the opportunity of seeing the only person in the island they have anything to do with. In putting forth this liberal assertion, why does the writer conceal that Napoleon had repeatedly offered to receive the commissioners as private individuals in the same manner as he had received other visitors, and that he caused Sir Hudson Lowe to be informed that he would not receive his own son in his presence? Who but such a reasoner as this could express any surprise at the fallen emperor's not recognizing the official capacity of persons who were sent out to increase the number of his keepers? On the other hand, I perfectly agree with the author that their presence is not only a matter of perfect indifference, but extremely to be regretted, inasmuch as that by witnessing the aggravated vexations practiced towards the inmates of Longwood, not to mention the unprecedented system established on the island generally, our national character on the continent cannot fail to have experienced great additional obloquy. For it is not to be imagined that these commissioners could remain silent at what they saw passing daily before their eyes, or omit giving a minute account of it to their respective courts. Viewing the subject in this light, the sooner they are withdrawn, the better. To say that the influence of Count Bertrand over Napoleon is the only cause of the latter's not cultivating an intimacy with the said commissioners is worthy of the writer as a great and absurd thing that he has uttered, if a degree of philosophical consistency in persevering fidelity almost unexampled in modern times gives the Count a claim to the hatred of such a writer as the author of these facts. No man on earth is more justly entitled to it. I was not, therefore, by any means surprised at seeing the scurrilous manner in which the Count's name is introduced to public notice, and as the author seems to attach great importance to this part of his publication, particularly by the pains taken to explain what occurred between him and Colonel Leicester, the old and valued acquaintance of Sir Hudson Lowe, I hope to be excused for dwelling somewhat longer on the circumstances of that transaction than might have been otherwise justifiable. Before I proceed to state the real nature of the case, it may be as well to observe in reply to the author's misrepresentation that no officer having business to transact with him, Calbertran, will do it unless in the presence of a third person, that this is a precaution which has been adopted from necessity with the inmates of and other residents besides Logwood. There is an officer of high rank in St. Helena whose character for the point-blank denials of conversation, hardly drawing the lip, and verbal orders is so palpably notorious as to have obliged another officer under his command to note down his orders, together with the time, place, and persons present, which upon denial shortly after were shown to him